Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have faith, you need to borrow, for no one can feel those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for what is right, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted in the cause of right, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people abuse you and persecute you and speak all kinds of calumny against you for my sake. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven, as it was for the prophets persecuted before you. In your prayers, remember Your Father knows what your needs are before you ask Him. This is how you should pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior, and this is the Warrior Mode Show. And we've got a great one tonight, and been looking forward to it. And Des and Travis, and I'm not sure if Derek has been able to join us or not, but we're going to be joined by my dear friend and their dear friend as well, Stro. It's the Maestro. WCW World Championship Wrestling legend, Maestro, and he's much more than that. We'll get into his bio in a second. As I say every time, I said it last night, we're doing the Warrior Mode service on Friday nights and the Warrior Mode show on Saturday nights. And every time I see that clip of Robert Powell, who played the part of Jesus in the 1977 movie Jesus of Nazareth. Just an amazingly powerful performance. I do believe that Jesus himself was there with Robert Powell and guiding him through that. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. So never get tired of seeing that, never get tired of hearing what he said, which were the words of Jesus. This is how you should pray. So before we go any further, let's bring God into this, as we always do. Father, I thank you and praise you for this blessed and appointed time. And I ask that you speak through us to speak truth. And I ask that you work through us to be a blessing to everyone involved in this program right now. I ask that you keep them in your hedge of protection 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for life. And I ask that you bless them with an abundance of love, peace, joy, good health, and prosperity as well. Glory to you, Father, for everything, forevermore, in Jesus' name. So now, Des, let's get everybody in here. And before we bring Stro into this, I want to see how everything is and check in with you guys. And hopefully all of you have had a good week. Guys, are you here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can see you, but
I can see.
Okay, great.
There we go.
Fantastic. Good. Okay, Des, are you okay? We see you?
Okay, yes, I see you guys.
We're not hearing you. There you are. Okay.
There she is.
So we'll start with you, Des. How's everything going?
Hey, alive and well, blessed. Thank you so much. All smiles. It was a
Praise
rough
God.
2 weeks. Yes, praise God. Been praying, staying ever vigilant, and just, being mindful, blessing everything that I put into my body.
Good
Really,
for you.
the mindset and having the faith and, just knowing that God's going to do God's work. Let God be God. Here I
Yeah,
am.
His will be done. That's right. That's
Yeah,
good for
so
you. You were
thank you.
definitely
Yeah.
in warrior mode for sure.
Oh, brother, you know it.
Love
Seriously.
that.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, but you made it, and here you are, and that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. That's for sure. And everything is for a
Hallelujah.
reason, and even our sufferings are for a reason. And
Yes.
so God will have something greater in the way of rewards for you as you continue to move forward. And we praise him for that. Just think about Job. It is a Job type of experience that we all have from time to time in life. And we must persevere and endure and keep our faith. And when we get on the other side, God will bless us like he did Job. There's no doubt about that. So speaking of blessings, Travis, congratulations. You've got a lot going on there. And man,
it's busy. We look like Hollywood squares. I like this.
I like it too.
It cracks me up. No,
and of course we have the twins, the partners in crime there, Strowman style with the glasses.
Strowman style. I've just started wearing these every show I do, Derek. Every time I get on a show, I wear these. And I always do the hashtag stealing Strowman style. So he started it. I'm just opposed. I just came along and decided to grab a set of sunglasses and wear them.
It works.
It does. It works. Yeah. I think all four of us at some point should wear them. We need warrior mode. We need warrior mode swag. We need warrior mode sunglasses. You know, everybody has their own unique on it and things like that. Oh no, things are busy. Today was a really busy day. It was almost like being my old self again. I was all over Eastern Kentucky. I got up this morning about 7 o'clock and went and played a round of golf and just by myself and just had some me time, and then met some friends in Pikeville, Kentucky, and then shot over to Hindman, Kentucky, where my friend Tyler Wolf, the Wolfman, is a DJ on WKCB, the Killer Bee. They lost 5 radio stations in the flooding about a month ago. Just totally destroyed the original building. Went on the air in 1968. Just destroyed the entire building, all of their equipment. So he showed me that, and then went and took a look at their new studios where they're now set up, and just a really miracle story there for them, where that they have totally rebuilt, and just an amazing job by the engineer Russ Lafferty. The very dear friend of mine, was my engineer for many years when I was at Q95 there in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. He's just an amazing engineer, and he literally got them back on the air in about a week's time. 5 radio stations in a week. Just did an amazing job. And then left there and went back to Fleming Neon, Kentucky, where my friend Tanya Charlton and her nonprofit, David's Legacy, was once again doing some supplies and donations and cleanup.
That's so fantastic.
What was needed to be done there. And then back in tonight, and was able to shower and clean up a little bit and get ready for this. And glad to be with you guys. And I kind of a new chapter. It's not really a new chapter. It's kind of I'm revisiting a chapter. When I graduated college back 5 years ago, back in the day, when I graduated back in the day, I was accepted to graduate school and at Austin Peay State University, just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and I didn't go. And then when I was in the ministry, I was about 3 classes away from finishing a master's degree in divinity, with an emphasis on theology. And of course, for various reasons, that degree I did not finish. So I decided 3rd time's the charm. So I applied to graduate school this past spring. I got accepted to East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee.
I love Johnson City. That's one of my favorite places.
It's a beautiful city. It really is. The campus is absolutely gorgeous. I went to orientation on Monday. There were about 250 in the orientation class. That was just the ones that RSVP'd and showed up, and that was across all of the fields of study. But I start Monday pursuing my master's degree in brand and media strategy. So it's a 2-year program, and I had told Bill, and I'm telling you guys, I probably will not be a regular on Saturday nights, every Saturday night, because I'm going to be using the weekends for my projects and my homework and studies and things like that. Because it will eventually, there will be some classes that are virtual. There'll be some that are hybrids, but my luck of the draw, yay me, first 3 classes out of the gate are all on campus in Johnson City, 4 days a week. So I've got an hour and 20-minute drive there. I've got my classes and an hour and 20-minute drive back to Virginia. So it's going to be a little trying the first the first semester, which starts Monday. So if you guys will send me a prayer, give me your thoughts, and light a candle for me. Matter of fact, light a few, and just say a prayer for me. But
it's all going to work out. You're going to succeed.
You got this, Travis.
Yeah, I wish I was as confident as you are, Des.
You're going to make it.
College life is the greatest. No sleep, stress.
Well, and that's the funny thing. I have that already, so I might as well get the degree to go along with it.
There you go.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And Derek, what can you bring to the party here? What's the latest in the world of Strowman entertainment? Uh-oh. We're not hearing you, brother.
Let me see. Mic check.
Derek, we are not hearing you at all.
No audio.
No audio.
But the headphones.
Something's got to be. Something's got to be unplugged somewhere. Could be one of my deals to where I seem to remember to hit that. It's bringing in what my headset is. And we're still not hearing you, brother Derek.
Right.
We see you, but we're not hearing you. Nope.
See.
We don't hear any pops or clicks. We see you, but everything is silent.
Let me see. If I take you off.
Uh-oh.
Put you back
yeah.
on. All right. How about now? No, brother.
Travis, can you read his lips? Can you give us commentary on what he's saying right now?
I wish I could. I can't read his lips. Although if you want me to act like a ventriloquist and just start saying things, whether he's saying them or not, I'll be more than happy to put words in his mouth.
Just speak Derek's part. and Derek, while you're messing with those issues, I'll bring Stro in with us. Let me read his bio real quick. And
okay.
Love him dearly. He's a brother, and he is also has strong Christian faith as well, and we praise God for that. And he, like us, and everybody else, he's had ups and downs in life and trials and tribulations, but life is all about overcoming. So our wonderful guest tonight is my dear friend Rob Kellum, aka Stro, formerly known as Maestro. Rob Kellum is an American professional wrestler, legendary WCW World Championship Wrestling wrestler, has traveled worldwide and has been in the ring with the top names in the world of professional wrestling. He's also an actor, and he's best known for his appearances, again, with World Championship Wrestling under the name of Maestro. He's also wrestled for other promotions, including the United States Wrestling Association, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and the World Wrestling Council. He currently wrestles under the ring name of Stro, and Kellum is an occasional television and film actor. I believe he's in a movie right now. He does a lot of movies, and has made cameo appearances on several episodes of the television series One Tree Hill. During the late 1990s, he worked in WCW with his Valet Symphony, and regularly appeared on Monday Nitro and WCW Thunder. And you can look on YouTube and see some of those matches from the past with Rob and various wrestlers from WCW. In January 1995, Rob began wrestling in the United States Wrestling Association as Gorgeous George III, which was a nod to his great uncle Gorgeous George. He was a collegiate wrestler for Pembroke and Iowa State University. He is trained in mixed martial arts and Greco-Roman freestyle wrestling. He's trained in Japanese dojos and is known as a policeman in the wrestling circles. And a policeman is someone who is known as a shooter and or a hooker in the wrestling and Not in that way. This is in the wrestling world. And
I was
this
going
is,
to say,
yeah, not in those ways. This is an individual, a shooter and a hooker in the wrestling world is known as an individual who knows how to hurt people. And, this is a person that's highly trained, not wanting to hurt people because he's the polar opposite of that in his personality. But if the situation dictates physical force, then he's more than capable of doing that. And so when you have that type of training, you can literally kill somebody with your bare hands, or you can break bones or dislocate things. And so that's what a hooker and a shooter is in professional wrestling. So he's known as that, a policeman. And on July 10th, 2010, Stro became a 4-time NWA Mountain State Heavyweight Champion. In August of 2011, he won the NWA MSW TV Championship from Matt Conard. And on May 19, 2012, and again on July 28, 2012, Stro won the APWA American Championship. And on October 17, 2013, Stro and Angry Panda became the XWW Tag Team Champions. And Stro is also a singer, a drummer, and a great piano player. And in the in some of the segments in WCW, in his WCW days, he was featured playing the piano before. There you go. He would come out and start playing the piano, and that was really him. So we could go on and on and on, but without further ado, let's bring in our brother, the Stro, Papa Stro, Rob Kellum. Brother, how you doing?
Hey everyone, great, blessed to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and it's so good to have you back. It's been a while, and man, we all have a ton of questions, so get ready.
All right.
So some of the questions might entail impersonations of Dusty Rhodes and others. We never know. We never know how this is going to go. We'll leave that up to Travis. So,
okay.
What's the latest, brother? What's happening in your world?
Oh gosh, it's so many things. It's like a whirlwind of conglomerate full of things happening. Been filming a lot.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there. Okay, sorry.
There we go.
Sorry about that, Stro. Okay,
We got
go ahead,
you.
brother.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry about that. I got some film projects I've been working on for the fall. Spy series called Hybrid, that'll be out soon, and a sci-fi comedy series that'll be out in the fall as well. I've just the different type of films I've been on set for, and series and everything. So just been busy with that, and I just did a meet and greet signing today at a card show, sports trading card show rather.
Yeah.
And I've been doing Comic-Cons, conventions, what have you, and I still wrestle every once in a while. You know what I mean? I haven't really retired yet or anything, and but I do a bunch of.
Maybe you could do a Ric Flair type of retirement match.
Oh well, yeah. I'm hoping. I'm hoping I'm able to do that when I get around his age. No doubt. It's amazing, and the fact that he did it with a pacemaker and everything, it is mind blowing.
Yeah, that's dangerous stuff right there. Taking
so
even though he was literally immobile, but still he took a couple bumps, right? I mean, when you have something like that in you and you're taking a couple bumps, that's dangerous.
I mean, some people, what was on the 5-Star Classic, but I mean, the fact that he could even walk to the ring and do his thing, I mean, at his age, is mind blowing in itself. So mad respect for that. I mean, he probably do a lot better than me if I was in his position. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I do color commentary now as well, of various other things. So I'm just blessed to be able to go out there and do varied things out in the world, that sort of thing. Because I've always felt that God calls us to use our gifts, for His doing, whichever gifts that they are.
Yeah.
I mean, and talents that He gives us. So I just try to do all I can to help glorify Him and let Him take me where He wants me to go, basically.
Yeah, and that's the right attitude for sure, because God has a plan for all of us, and so we just have to obey and do the best that we can do as far as discerning what that plan is and how He will guide us. So His will be done, and we just have to have that level of faith, strength, and courage in allowing Him to guide us in that way. So that's great, brother. I'm happy for you that you've got a lot going on. And making a lot of appearances. And let's go back, and then I'm going to shut up and let Travis and Des come in. Did we get Derek back?
Not yet.
Wow.
I think maybe Derek's trying to work on his
Fix the
audio.
audio issues. Well, I'll start with this. Stro, tell us how it all began. Who trained you, and what year did you enter into professional wrestling?
Well, I broke into business in the latter 80s, and just after, I was amateur wrestling, collegiate wrestling, freestyle, Greco-Roman, did the USA freestyle Greco-Roman circuit, and just, getting my education, and I was brought into the pro wrestling business, rather, by Ivan Koloff, Gene Anderson with the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, him and Ole Anderson back in the day.
He was a shooter, right, Stro?
Oh God, yes. I mean, I would see Gene. Gene had what you call like tendon strength, and certain mountain climbers have. That's why they can balance themselves on like their hand or certain fingers, because I mean they're deceptively strong, right? They don't look it, but man, they grab you, you just want to cry.
Yeah.
And Gene had that, right? And there's certain individuals that have had that in wrestling throughout the years that didn't look all that built or
like a Harley race.
Yes, but like, man, they would do amazing. They would just do amazing things just because they had that tendon strength, right? And I've seen Gene take like 300-pound men and grab them by their fingers and just bring them down to their knees. I mean, because he had that grip. And the legendary Danny Hodge.
Yeah, I was just going to mention him as well. Yeah, I mean, and guys, I don't know if you're familiar with Danny Hodge, but this individual, he wasn't that big of a man, but like Stro's saying, he had that tendon strength, and I mean, he supposedly could crush a set of pliers in his hand. It would be nothing for him to crush apples. And he's very, very strong, deceptively strong individual. Did you ever have any encounters with him, Stro?
Yes, actually. Matter of fact, he was like one of my early inspirations. Him, Billy Robinson, who's like an encyclopedia of wrestling.
Yeah.
A legend in catch wrestling, and he could. Billy Robinson could tell you stories like way back to prehistoric times, and he was such an historian of wrestling. And between him, Danny Hodge, and the great Lou Thez, who was an early mentor of mine.
Yeah.
When I started, so yeah, he was on my go-to for advice.
Shooter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Lou Thez wasn't that big of a guy either. Maybe 200, 220, maybe. But boy, oh boy, he could hurt you. And a very strong guy, and he knew what he was doing, and they're very well respected. And what about the Billy Robinson? Was he from that Wigan background, Stro?
Yes.
And tell everybody what that's about, how that originated, and where that comes from.
It was from he's UK and Europe and everything, and the Wigan style kind of originated over there, and which learned art and style catch wrestling, where we had more or less it's how wrestling kind of first got its same per se, with that style. And because, back during that time, they didn't have wrestling rings. They had mats. And, the ground game was like pretty much the main source of wrestling.
And would you say, Stro, that they incorporated like judo techniques in with that as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Throws and, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I was training in mixed martial arts, judo was one of the fighting arts that we studied. Judo, jiu-jitsu, and incorporating that with the wrestling, ground and pound, and the grappling style.
This is, and guys, and for everybody that's watching now, what Stro's saying here about this ground and pound type style, this is all designed for being on the ground, but not being a victim on the ground. Now in jiu-jitsu, there is a guard. It's called the Gracie guard. The Gracie's made that famous. But the ground and pound, like Stro's talking about, is not being a victim when you're down there. You are lethal when you're down there, and you're most dangerous when you're down there. So if an opponent goes down to the ground with someone that is skilled in that way, they're in big trouble. And so with Stro's background, the Greco-Roman background, and that shooter background with all the things that he knows, again, with the martial arts like judo and jiu-jitsu mixed in, that is a lethal combination for someone that, and how many times, Stro, have we seen this over the years to where either you're in a bar or a restaurant or something, and this drunk guy will come up and now he wants to challenge you to a fight and all these kinds of things.
Wow.
It's happened to me many times over the years. And so then you're in a situation where you always want to be in control of the situation, but we know people, Stro, that unfortunately, like Haku, that the nicest guy in the world, but the most lethal guy in the world, and people start fights with him, and then they end up losing noses and other things as well, eyes. So what do you think about that, Stro?
Haku, I love Haku, brother. He's like my brother from another mother, man. I mean, he looks big and scary, but he's such a sweetheart. He's such a big teddy bear, right? And I mean, he's got a daughter, I think, that plays college basketball. And I mean, his whole family is just tremendous. And he's right now, it's like the scariest car salesman you ever seen down at Kissimmee Court. So you can imagine Haku in like a polo shirt selling cars. I mean, that's
it's hard to believe. And so I'll shut up here and let you, Travis. I'll let you get. I know you're bursting here with questions, and I know Dez is as well, and of course we know Derek is. So go ahead, Travis.
Stro, it is good to have you back on, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
It's been too long. Good to have you back. So I think I probably asked you this once before, but I'm just curious coming back because I've just recently gotten back into working out in the gym. I joined a gym about 3 months ago. I'm trying to get in. I'm doing cardio, doing weights and things like that. What was and what is your workout regimen like?
I've kind of changed it up, through the years. More like stretching per se with yoga and just the cross training and all that. Just stay limber, stay lean, that sort of thing. Where in the years back, everybody wanted to get big and strong, right? Which is fine or good, but as times change and as you get older, it's basically more or less about taking care of yourself and your joints and that sort of thing. So and I'm doing things now that I wish I'd done years back. Back to the time when you think about yoga or Pilates or anything like that, you can just kind of laugh it off, like, oh, well, what's that? I don't mean it. You know what I mean? But a lot of cross training. A lot of incorporate the cardio, with the workouts and everything. Because cardio is always important, and regardless if you're doing anything rigorous or just per se take care of yourself health wise, cardio is where it's at. Any type of cardio you can do to keep the blood going. Yeah. And so, I mean, you know, obviously because, you know, the blood is our lifeline, right? So we got to keep it healthy and
Right.
fit. So, I mean, whatever it takes. So as you get older, you realize, I guess, the more important things, right? To take care of
I'm
yourself.
certainly realizing that now at age 56. I certainly realize it.
I am
Even if
too,
it's a
man.
light jog, you know what I mean? Anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm feeling it every time I hit that gym. I feel it a little bit more. It's all changed. What I was able to do 10 years ago, I cannot do today. Even though I think I can, and even though I may try, it doesn't work. What about your diet? What about your diet, Stro? Have you changed the way that you eat and everything over the past few years?
Yes, quite a bit actually. Like a high protein, low carb diet. Not quite, but some of it's similar like the keto diet, more or less. But you know, I got to, you know, keep my vegetables in me, right? So, you know, along with the protein. So I don't do.
Him, though. I corrupted him because when he was in my home, my wife made a big spaghetti dinner, and so we ate a ton of that. And then when we were on the road in New York, we ate quite a bit as well. So I was a bad influence on him back then.
That was amazing, by the way. Oh man, spaghetti was awesome. Oh my god, I remember that. I remember one time, funny story, doing a movie out of New York way, and it was like one of those gangster films. We got to hit some of the sites where, you know, John Gotti had hung out back in the day, right? And I remember coming back home and having to get in the gym and work up all that Italian food. Because my God, I mean, even the lunches.
Plenty of those places over there in Queens.
And you can't say no, right? And I mean, everything it was great. There was just so much of it. Even the lunches were like feasts, right? And it's like, oh my God, I'm never eating that much in my life, you know what I mean? So yeah, when I got back home, I had to like really, you know, work it all off.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's, you know, it's amazing. And what he's saying, you know, absolutely is true. But boy, you know, I'm someone that loves to eat. And then, you know, when you're having this Italian food, and I think we had Italian food when we were in New York together, you
Right.
can't help it. I mean, you know, the good food like that, you just, it's just hard to resist. That's for sure. So, Des, what do you have for Stro?
Oh, well, it was an honor to meet you, first of all.
Oh,
So,
it's same here to you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's super cool. So, yes, I grew up watching, and I actually had pulled up. Now, when you decided on your character, because I'm like I was always curious, but why the maestro? Like what? I mean, I know your talents and all that, but you know, and then now you're Papa Stro, you know. So how did that like was that like you, or was that part of like the branding and everything that came? Like how did you get your name?
You know, all of that is due to the years. I was in theater for a long time, and I was in plays like Macbeth. You know, I was the king that got betrayed in Macbeth. I was in Cats, like on Broadway. You know, like Shakespearean plays. I was in the church. I was Moses in the Ten Commandments.
That's so cool.
And then various others. So I mean, it's all stems about my theatrical background. That's where I musically got, you know, like playing the drums, singing, playing the piano. I got musically involved with that too. And my theater teacher could have wrung my neck when I got into wrestling, right? Because she wanted me to pursue it that much more. And eventually I was going to use the theater to get into film, right? But I took a slight detour into the wrestling, right? Because the wrestling is like one of my long life passions. And then once I started getting into film, acting for film, and the theater, and with the theater knowledge and everything, which would help me greatly for film, trust me, and as well as with the wrestling too, because wrestling's very theatrical in itself, and I use theatrics with the wrestling. And when my music teacher realized what I was doing with the wrestling and getting into the film, like she forgave me, right? She's like, okay, I get it now, I understand,
because you're practicing,
right? So it's amazing how everything, a lot of things like that are intertwined. They tie in together, right? And you understand why you have to go from A to B to C to D, that type of thing. And so it just amazes me. Even like for let's say, for example, I'm preparing for a wrestling match. It's just like preparing for a film of any type, because you have to make the intricate little things stand out, in the match, just like you would in the film. I mean, because they're all about the little things,
Right.
The tweaking, the editing. I mean, there's a whole ensemble of people behind the scenes making a film look fantastic, which to this day still amazes me. Just as much as like when you get to the bigger wrestling companies, there's a whole bunch of people behind the scenes making a wrestling show what it is, right? And making everything happen. So it's just amazing how all that intertwines, with the theater, the entertainment, the film, the wrestling. It's all, part of the same formula, more or less. So the more you think about it, it's so connected. I mean, everything we do in life, basically, if you think about it, it's connected.
You can connect the dots, that's for sure. Absolutely. Now, do we have Derek's mic functioning, Des?
I think so. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there we go. We're hearing it. And Des, did you have one more question for Stro before we go to Derek?
Well, I just wanted to say, Stro, that I've always admired because I grew up on wrestling, as a kid, and back when it was Rod Piper and Ric Flair, and I like that era. I know as it's evolved, but I always found such an admiration because you're out there in front of the crowd, and there is a lot of theatrics, and everything, and you're pumping up the crowd, and also too, like the dialogue, and you got the good guy, the bad guy, or well, now that I know what the shooters are called, I'm learning more about all this stuff. I'm like, wow, yeah, I didn't know that was what that position, or that that was called. But anyways, it's just admirable. And now you're still pursuing it with acting, and also now with I seen your YouTube channel as well. You do also podcasting and video casting and stuff. I just it's really awesome. Where do you see, like, what's next? Like, what is it that anything that you like? What's next on your list?
Honestly, I'm just taking it day by day. I'd like to do more with the film industry and everything. I had the recent honor this year, actually, of being nominated for Best Actor by the Cannes International Music Festival out of France, which is like one of the highest regarded film festivals you can go to. I mean, this is a festival like Stallone, Schwarzenegger has attended, and various other A-list actors. So to be nominated for that sort of thing is a really big deal. And I was nominated for a Harlequin film that I did recently, where I played Dr. Arkham, and in the film, and it's a lot of Batman characters in that, if you're a Batman fan. So
I am. Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
So yeah, but
Congratulations.
But wherever the good Lord takes me, I mean, it's really been a blessing, to experience what I've experienced, and I just, it's, wherever the Lord wants to do, to use, what I do to serve Him, and to reach out and help people, around the world. I mean, that's what it's all about, reaching, reaping fruit, right, for Him, right?
It is.
I believe it.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Aw, thanks, Joe. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And now we got Strowman style waiting in the wings. He's been waiting on deck. He's got a lot of questions.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Maestro? Look. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for all of your years of entertainment, the service that you provided all of us across the board, from wrestling to films, and like you said, even the theatrical side of things. So thank you so much for that. That is amazing. You look good. You sound great. It seems like you're just getting started, and your story is amazing. It's fabulous. But we have a connection, and I've been waiting so long to be able to talk to you, because I missed every single time you were on the Warrior Mode of Past with our great good buddy who will always be with us, Kev Baker. And every single time you were on, I was like, I keep missing the Maestro, right? But I keep hearing Bill referred to you as Stro, which is also what people call me.
Wow, small world, right?
but he doesn't call me Stro. You're Stro to him. I'm Stro to everybody else, and he's Stro. You're Stro to him. Excuse me. And you're spelt the same way. I mean, if you look on the back, my last name is Strowman. You can see it there. It's like, but Bill has never acknowledged that. He's never said, "Well, you know what? You're Stro too." But that's okay, because guess what? Guess what, sir? You were the first Stro. I came after that. So
you're little Stro, Derek. You can be little Stro. He's Papa Stro. You can be little Stro.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, Papa Stro.
And you guys have your brothers from another mother now. So there you go.
The family gets even bigger, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Derek, what are you going to hit him with? What questions you going to hit him with? You got a lot. I know you do.
So, well, as Desiree was speaking, and I apologize for the audio issues, but so I was wondering how you look at modern day wrestling. I mean, do you feel as though it's lost any oomph as far as the way it was represented back in those days with Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, all those guys, Ric Flair, the Ultimate Warrior? Do you think that it's anywhere remotely as great and as popular as it used to be? It's a two-part question. And do you, if so, or if not, do you think that it can still grow to be what it once was?
A lot of the reasons, like back during my era and there, I mean, why wrestling really got to be reached is a certain precipice, right? It's because the fact that people were like emotionally invested in us, and we were like larger than life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All the personas and the stories that we told, in the ring and on wrestling television and so forth. I mean, there are certain aspects of the audience that can identify which each and every one of us, right? Yep. And I really feel, don't get me wrong, there's some great athletes right now going on in the wrestling industry, and they do amazing things. And I've got some people I've helped out, I've been blessed to have helped out with. They're doing really well. For example, Dax Hardwood of FTR, I broke him in the business, and now him is a partner of Cash. They're like one of the best tag teams in wrestling right now. I mean, they got like 3 different championship belts from across the globe. It's a pretty amazing job they're doing. But I'm using them as an example, right?
Yes.
And even Sasha Banks, was nice enough to mention my wrestling school in her documentary, right? And it's very and various other Luke Gallows, Bullet Club, just throwing some names out there. But going back to what I was saying, I think the big thing that's missing right now is that physical, that physical, not just physical, but mental connection that we used to have with the audience. Where they would believe in us, our every whim, and because it's just like people throughout history that make certain speeches and had that following, and the reason why they had that following because they knew how to have that emotional connection with the audience.
Yeah. Very true.
And whether they loved you or hated you, made them cry, make them sad, make them happy, they were emotionally invested in you, and they would follow your every whim, and just that's how leaders throughout history have had that following, because people had emotionally invested in what they were saying, and and that same art could apply to the entertainment realm with wrestling. You see it in music, right? You see it in all kinds of different genres. So I mean, emotion is a very powerful tool, and I feel like that's missing right now. And I think we can come to a point again where we bring it back.
Yes.
It's just you got to connect. The thing I learned and a lot of us in the entertainment industry started. The thing I've learned is never insult your audience, because your audience can make you or break you, right? And so the audience is your lifeline, just like I mentioned earlier. Like blood is our lifeline in our bodies. in the entertainment world, our audience, our following is everything to us. Because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be around. So I mean,
exactly.
That emotional connection, I think, is missing because we got the athleticism. We got some great athletes and great young stars, carrying on the art and sport, which I still think is still a sport. Because there's no off season in wrestling. It's 365 days a year, and a lot of times we're hurt and stuff. The show must still go on, basically, right?
That's right.
But I just, if that, as far as the appeal goes, I think, because even though certain people have tried to expose the business and all that sort of thing, I still think the magic's, well, I wouldn't say magic. That's not the word I was looking for. The connection, basically, the connection is still there for the audience because the audience still wants to be entertained, right?
Yes.
And we still want to be entertained. So if the wrestling world can have that more vicarious connection with the audience, then I can think we can get back to that promise. It's just a matter of just getting the audience connection back, more or less. It's just like reading a book, right?
Yeah.
And each page, draws you that much more to the next chapter. I like.
So you think the storytelling is missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, can I say something real quick? I mean, you touched on a great point, and I want to go back to it real quick here. That connection that you had, that we all had with our favorite wrestlers, whether good guys or bad guys, was also personified through the media. It was commercials. It was representation of products, and it was more in the forefront. But that is no longer there. You saw Hulk Hogan commercials. You saw these guys more often. It's almost like
Macho Man.
Yeah, Macho Man.
Oh, Macho Man. Yeah.
I mean, you saw, you would see that, and that connection that you mentioned, whether they were good or bad, we appreciated that because we understood that was their personalities, and we respected them for that. We knew that they were going to come in the ring or do something that made us appreciate them. Now it's more of an to have a lineage, or you have to have someone that teaches others, what wrestling's about, or you don't see it, or you don't know about it. So I think that's where some of that is missing. If they showed us, we would say, well, who was that just then? I don't know who that is, and it might inspire us to be seek out a little bit more information about it.
Exactly, along the lines that you were saying. I mean, during our time, you knew who the heroes were, you knew who the villains were, and you knew the situations and the stories going in, right? So, and I think we should make that more clear nowadays. There's a lot of confusion, I think, at times with today's wrestling, and just because the fact that they want to follow with the times. And it's a confusing world as it is, right? Yeah. But I think we have that certain identification with our audience, who we are and what we're all about, and all that, and have that connection to where they want to believe in you, whether they want to love you, hate you, despise you, cheer for you, cry for you. You know what I mean? I think we would be definitely heading on the right track.
Yes,
no more sons of a plumber are out there anymore.
Oh God, man.
Well,
I miss him.
Travis, I hear you. I can hear your thoughts right now. Go ahead.
Well, there was, but Desiree had something. I will let her go.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna... Well, because just to say, and I believe it's true, because it is generational in a sense. It was my dad that taught. Oh my! I've said this story before, but you don't know how many times I would just be carrying a laundry basket. My dad would be like, "Clothesline," or "Pile driver," or It was it's so. Of course, now I have to do that to my nieces and nephews as well. So they know what a pile driver or a super flex is and whatnot. And so I know that the fan following is still hardcore. But I saw it shifting it as I was getting older and generationals and trending and the branding. There's more pyro. What's it called? Pyro, not pyromania, but pyro.
Pyrotechnics.
Thank you,
Yeah.
pyrotechnics. Yes, a lot more. Hollywood, I guess you would say. Whereas back then it was there was a lot. I feel personally there was a lot more rawness to it because there wasn't so much technology like we have now, big screens and everything. And there, what was I going to say? So if we're
Those
not
guys didn't even have
teaching
any
about it,
music, Des. They didn't even come
no,
out. I mean, and I just
Yeah.
mentioned a son of a plumber, and Stro got that. That's Virgil Runnels, who's Dusty Rhodes, and he had more charisma in his little pinky nail than combined, probably every wrestler combined today. And Stro was a good friend of his. But you're right. There was and he could speak on it better than I can. Somebody like Bruno Sammartino, he was a hero to all. And no ring music, no ring jacket, nothing flashy. And the crowd would erupt when Bruno came out of the dressing room and came down the aisle. The people were so emotionally invested, just like Stro was saying, that it didn't matter. He had them all in the palm of his hand wherever he went. And then it was up to him to get into the ring and tell a story. And back then it was the baby face, the hero, was going to go over on the villain, especially if it was Bruno, and he was going to give the villain a terrible beating, and the crowd loved every second of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, especially if we got thrown out the rings.
A lot of what we do is like psychology and emotion based, and especially those of us that are successful at it. Because I mean, to have, I mentioned the emotional connection. You also got to have that psychological connection as well, telling the story, whether it be in the ring or be it behind the scenes, etc. Because I mean, wrestling is just like being more or less a method actor in acting. I mean, you have to live this 24/7. I mean, to be marketable and have people be invested in you, right? Whether you're talking, doing promos or interviews, wrestling, readable, etc. You have to be that. You have to be part of that story continuously, right? So
yeah,
and sort of live that gimmick, right?
Yes, yeah. Funny story you mentioned about Pyro. I mean, the Undertaker's saying one time that when they were doing the entrance for his entrance, right? And he said the pyro was. He kept telling the tech people that the pyro was too close, right? When he come make his entrance, right? And evidently somebody didn't listen, and they did the pyro again close to him, right? And when his jacket literally caught on fire, he had to take off his jacket, right? And then they got the hint then because they got butt chewing by the boss. So they fixed that real quick, right?
They weren't sure if that was part of the show or if that was like like an error, but it was actually his jacket totally caught on fire. That wasn't supposed to happen, but
right.
He suffered some burns as well. He suffered some burns that so he was actually physically hurt by it. And like Stro said, I guarantee you, some people probably lost their jobs after that.
I talk about entrances, right? I did a pay-per-view with the late James Brown some years back, right? And it was doing a feud to have with Ernest the Cat Miller, and we made a bet for this pay-per-view. I think it was Super Brawl up in San Francisco, Cow Palace, right? To where if he could produce James Brown, then I would have to listen to any crappy music that he would give me, right? But if he didn't produce James Brown, that I would have him as my chauffeur, kind of like Driving Miss Daisy, Morgan Freeman, right? So the pay-per-view, came along, right? And so I'm here with the cat, and we're waiting for James Brown to come out, and here comes this guy supposed to be James Brown dancing all around, and I take his wig off, and it's like Mean Gene the Dancing Machine from the Gone Show. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Time to pack my bags, right? You know what I mean? In character, of course. And in which
Right,
with
right, right.
Ernest was a heck of a guy. He's a 3-time karate champion, legit, and just a very entertaining guy, right? He still got his dojo down, I think, near Atlanta. But so after I took the wig off of Gene the Dancing Machine, right? And here's the music playing, right? And here comes James Brown, makes his big entrance, right? The Cow Palace, right? The whole roof is going off, right? And I did the whole Fred Sanford bit where, you know, I fainted and passed out in the ring and the because I'm a huge Sanford Son fan, right? Oh
Yeah,
God,
me too.
growing up,
Red
you know what I
Pants.
mean? My grandma was like the female version of Fred. I always thought
Oh,
I'll tell her that all the time, man. But yeah, just yeah, that was a big honor in itself because at the time, you know, James Brown wasn't even doing anything for Vince, right? And for him to do a big pay-per-view with yours truly and Ernest, I mean, that was like huge. And so it was a great guy too,
and that
right?
was a WCW event, right, Stro?
Yeah, WCW Super Brawl.
Yeah.
And you know, my granduncle, you know, he was original Gorgeous George, right? He influenced a
right.
lot of people back in his day, and James Brown was one of those
James
people
Brown
he
was one of them.
influenced.
Yeah.
You know the thing with the robe where the guy puts the robe on him and everything. He got all that from original Gorgeous George years ago.
He was the original. He's the one who started it all with the flamboyant type of thing. And then, but if you think about it, like Stro's been saying, it's psychology to where you get the people invested, whether they love you or hate you. They're absolutely, completely invested emotionally. And man, you've got quite a canvas there that you can run with after that.
And seeing guys like James Brown and Muhammad Ali, who you know that your granduncle was influenced over the years, man. It's just amazing.
And,
you know,
and Travis, go ahead. You're brimming over. I can feel you. The questions coming.
No, it's not really a question as much as a comment to piggyback off of Little Stro down here in the left corner. I love you, man. You know that. You know I love
you too, man.
So, one of the things, you know, growing up in the 80s, you know, like Dez and like Derek, you know, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, you know, all of these guys, there was this, we knew, even as kids, we knew what we were watching wasn't real, but we wanted it to be real. We were invested in buying into the story. And now you know, I had cousins that took it way too far. I had cousins that would take metal folding chairs and hit each other over the head with them.
Yes.
And then days later they would wake up and, you know, then they'd be in trouble for what they had done. But there was also this sense, you know, everybody said it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But the older I got and the more I've been in the entertainment industry, the media industry, and I've talked to professional wrestlers, you among them, and others, fake is not the word. It's choreographed. It's scripted. But at one point, I would hear people say it's 50% athleticism and it's 50% fake. No, I'm thinking it's probably about 80 to 90% athleticism and 90% choreographed scripting.
It's more real than you think, right, Stro?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. You know, we got a whole, and people don't realize. I mean, you have referees, the officials who are like a huge liaison between. You know what I mean? Because they get the earpieces to the people in the back, and they let us know about, you know, like how much time we got, if we're okay. They look at on this, and, you know, if we get hurt, and then the doctor, there's always a doctor in hand, and so there's so much going on in a wrestling show. Oh my gosh.
It's like reality TV before we had the term reality TV, because there's no such thing as reality TV. There's scripted and non-scripted, and then it's still scripted.
Yeah.
You know, because we have to have a plan B, C, and D. You know,
it's
you
like,
know what I mean?
Here's the
anything
scenario.
Go wrong.
Yeah, here's the scenario that you're given. You just act the way that you would normally act, and we're going to film it, and we'll deal with it how we want.
And that's why a few of us, as Bill alluded to earlier, were trained to do certain things. You know, just in case someone either A, would take liberties, 2, would get hurt, or three, or you get hurt yourself. You know what I mean? That's, so like certain of us were trained to do things that, they were trained to do, so we can improvise those times.
And keep everything in order as well. Go ahead, Travis.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that I'm going to piggyback off of what I have now termed warrior princess, because in the private chat I said, watch out, Des is really getting into this whole wrestling talk. I see her trying to get involved and try out in some
the sleeper hold. Oh, I'm telling you, figure four, you name it. Like, I mean, people don't understand that this was my childhood. Like that was dinner time. Watch wrestling.
It was all of our childhoods, and I mean, in the 80s and 70s, 80s, 90s. But one of the things that you said, Des, and I think this is true, and this is more of an observation than a question, but it goes back to something that Derek said earlier too. We used to see the television commercials incorporating these wrestling personas and these characters, and it seems like at one point the umbrella, whether it was WCW or WWF or WWE, but it seemed like WCW and WWF were really more about putting those personas out there and finding ways to cross promote and integrate them into other aspects of our lives and introduce them to us. And it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. It just seems like it's almost like we realize it's a genre, it's encapsulated, and that's just who we're going to cater to. And I don't know if my kids would know any wrestler that we were talking about right now.
Well, they would, and can I piggyback off of you right there? And this is where I wanted to segue into with you, Maestro. So a lot of wrestlers, pro wrestlers, transitioned into film. So if you mentioned John Cena, he's in a lot of movies now, right? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, So what happened? It's almost like they transition into film, and people forget about their wrestling career. Almost, it's almost like, because these people we see every day. So what it should be more prevalent than the way it really is. Hulk Hogan was in films, but you still identified him as a wrestler. But these guys, they become super big movie stars, and then you kind of forget that was The Rock.
Where they started off that.
Yeah. So
right.
So how do you feel about that, Stro? Do you think that it's a good progression, or obviously you would want, as a wrestler, if it was me, just like you've done yourself, you want that for yourself. You want as much success as possible, but do you think the audiences appreciate that, or would they rather look at you in one particular role?
Well, I think on the wrestling end, I think wrestling fans will always respect and remember certain individuals, for what they did prior, to the acting. The Rock's a perfect example. I mean, now I just think he's broadened his fan base that much more. With the film as well, and then just quite a few people remember him through the wrestling as well. I remember his daddy, Rocky Johnson, meeting him and everything, and he was, he was, he was a charismatic guy too. Rocky Johnson was back in the day.
Great performer, yeah.
Yes.
Never heard of him.
Oh, really, Derek?
I never heard of him. That's so wild.
In my opinion, he was better than The Rock. He was a better athlete than The Rock, and not taking anything away from him, but his father was a tremendous athlete and had a better physique as well.
And his grandpa is also a wrestler, Chief Maivia.
Yeah, Chief Peter Maivia. Yeah, this goes back to the 60s and 70s, Derek.
I had no clue.
Yeah, he was High Chief Peter Maivia, a very tough guy, little short guy, but was like a fire plug, very tough, right, Stro?
Oh yes.
He was a shooter too.
Oh yeah.
I do remember Gorgeous George, though. I remember that because
Yeah,
I do,
awesome.
and absolutely, because his character or his persona was just different. It transcended.
It was
You know
different,
what I mean?
already.
Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it was like, and then like I saw it being mimicked, and then the fact of I had saw an interview with James Brown, and he had said that it was inspiring. So But see, my dad's dad used to watch wrestling. So like how we go through that generational and like to keeping it in, it's like a family kind of thing. So it was like my dad's dad, that's who he was watching that showed my dad, and then my dad showed me, and then now it's still going on. But nowadays, when I try to watch wrestling with my nieces and nephews, the interest is, yeah, it has shifted. It's more like Derek was saying, the movies or whatnot. But I think it's awesome, and I think it's really cool too. Also, probably show that, like, how much God that you love, because that's like another side of like entertainers and wrestlers and all that you don't always hear so openly to speak about it. And I've heard you
especially in
speak so
today's
openly
world.
about it.
Yeah.
I love it, and that makes me like admire and connect and have a lot of like love for you back. Like, that's awesome.
Oh,
And
thank you.
can I say this? I'm sorry. Pardon me. Just
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick.
Go ahead.
I
No, go ahead.
apologize for the interruption.
Your
Because
brother
I-
Stro is coming
Oh,
in
my
again.
pleasure.
Well, yeah. Listen, I've missed a lot of different interviews with you, so I'm trying to get in.
Okay.
So let me represent myself based on the question that I asked you. Okay, so for me, I appreciate true talent. I'm an independent film director, so I
Awesome.
appreciate the talent. So I no longer want to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a wrestler. He's a very good actor. He can switch his personas in movies. I like that. I don't want to see him in his wrestling outfit again in that arena of what he used to do. Same thing would go as far as Jesse the Body Ventura. Same thing. Great actor. He was in the Predator. Great movie. Great actor. I don't want to see him wrestle
Governor.
anymore. I'm just giving examples. And I mentioned John Cena before. Another great actor. There are more. I was trying to write a list here, but Bill Bean. I don't want to see Bill Bean wrestle anymore. Now I'm just playing. Hey, Bill has wrestled, but he doesn't. We don't talk about Bill as a wrestler, but
I had a 300-pound guy, 350-pound guy stand on my throat one time in the ring. I was fit in there.
These guys we want to see on TV anymore. Again, I'm speaking for myself. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and just real quick, I will throw a question in there as well. Do you think somewhere along the lines, and I think you might have actually mentioned it a little bit in this conversation, but do you think somewhere along the line wrestling just got a bad reputation somehow?
Just from various things, yeah. You know what I mean? Because it has ups and downs through the years. Whether it be politically, whether it be drama in the back.
Some individuals with substance abuse issues.
Yeah, there's various things, but I mean, I think the art of wrestling is still, I believe, alive and well, and can be better if done the right way. With the days era, because I mean, there's some really good, like I said, there's some really great athletes out there that can, if they were given the opportunity, really could take the helm. So and carry on the art and sport of wrestling. So, and as far as like that transition to Hollywood, I mean, we mentioned some of the influences. Other influences I've had through the years, which inspired me to transcend the film too. Roddy Piper, for example.
Yes.
They
live.
They live.
Right.
Yes, incredible film. Oh my God.
Hell comes to Frogtown.
That's
Not
right.
quite as good as They Live, but still a Roddy Piper movie. Yeah.
They Live was more of a documentary than anything else.
You have
They Live now.
You have Pepper Martin from years back. He was in Superman 2. He was the bully in the diner scene that fought Clark Kent.
Yeah.
If you watch Superman 2.
Oh yeah.
And Terry Funk, who
Paradise Alley.
Yes, with Stallone, and Over the Top with Stallone too, and Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Hard Boiled Haggerty.
Favorite. Oh,
right.
I love
He was in the what was he in the Arthur films? At Hardboiled Haggerty, he was in Arthur and quite a few other films as well.
Yeah,
Super
quite the resume.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. You know, these people.
Yeah, Princess Bride.
Yeah, these people crossed over, and so a man like Bruno, who had the crowd in the palm of his hand no matter where he went, and he came out. He didn't scream or shout in his interviews. He was just real, and he had this air of believability. So you could emotionally invest in Bruno as the hero, and he didn't have to perform or anything. He was just himself, and the people just loved him. But then, as the years progressed, and Stro's right, the Terry Funks, the Hard-Boiled Haggertys, and people like that, they crossed over into some movies. Oxbaker. But it really didn't.
Too,
but wrestling really didn't come into the mainstream until Hulk Hogan came along, and there was something about that time. And Hulk Hogan had a lot of charisma, and so you blend that together. And when they first brought Hulk Hogan in, it was probably 1979 into the WWF. Then it became the WWF, now WWE. And he was a heel, a bad guy, and he was feuding with Andre the Giant, people like that. But then they decided that they were going in a different direction, and it was Vince McMahon Jr., Vincent K. McMahon, not his father, that decided that he was going to take the wrestling world over pretty much. And he had a vision of Hulk Hogan, which at that time was coming off of the Rocky III appearance, and he got him and then made him the face of the WWF and made him the champion and the ultimate hero. And then, you know, with that level of charisma, and then already being in the movie world in a major movie like Rocky III, that propelled him, and it propelled everything after that. So it opened the doors for everybody after that. Wouldn't you agree, Stro?
Oh, absolutely. It was the start of a whole new era for wrestling.
It crossed over into the mainstream then, and so that's how you had NBC go on Saturday night's main event, which they had some of the highest ratings in the history of NBC TV. Those main events, Saturday night main events that they would put on there, it was a phenomenon for quite a few years in the 80s. And then, like everything, things start to change. But Stro, where were you during that time when the WWF was in its heyday with, you know, Hulk Hogan at the helm, and you know, they were selling out arenas everywhere?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was just finishing up getting my education at the time, but I was witnessing all this going on. It was such an awesome time, and it just fueled that much more the passion to be in the industry. So I was involved in a lot of things in school, you know, athletically, academically, but you know, I just kept that wrestling passion. You know,
that was in your
blood. Just kept it there, right? Yeah.
And you think about it, and I've heard interviews in the past with Roddy Piper, Hacksaw Duggan, people like that, that were a part of those days. And both Piper and Duggan described being in the arenas, and the whole building was shaking because the people were not only filling the building, but they were so emotionally invested that they could feel the whole building shaking. I mean, that's a phenomenon. It's hard to describe in words. I mean, and Stro, you've probably, and of course you were a part of something like that with WCW, because they had not quite on the level of what it was back in those years in the WWF, but they were a phenomena as well when they were, you know, in that point of time in the 90s, beating the WWF in the ratings on a pretty consistent basis until the tide turned. I mean, what was it like back then?
Well, a couple of things. First off, talking to people that were at WrestleMania 3, for example, I've talked to Hogan about it, Randy Savage, Piper, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah,
they would tell me the same thing, was that that WrestleMania 3, right? There was like 90-some thousand plus.
92,000 people plus, yeah.
Still an attendance record, I think, there to that day. And
yeah,
they said when you went out there, if you can imagine having a sea of people, the draft from a sea of people, you know, which is mind blowing if you think about it. They have that much of an audience there, and I know like there were times like when I was in Mexico with Triple Mania, I was teaming with Jake Roberts in the main event. It was like 60,000 plus there, which was amazing. It's like the equivalent of WrestleMania over there in Mexico, right? And like they had the pageantry and everything, and then you go to like Japan, they would pack the egg dome in Tokyo for thousands of people there, and from people from all over the world there, and then you have like, for example, like when the Monday Night Wars was going pretty good with the Nitros and Thunders on WCW.
That was in the 90s. That was in the mid to late 90s.
When I would make those entrances from the top of the arena, play the baby grand piano with the candelabra and everything, and look down and see this pretty much a sea of people that look like ants as they're lowering the contraption, playing the piano. It's pretty breathtaking, right? And I'm not much on heights either, so I mean, to look down and see everybody looking like ants, a funny thing is I worked with a stuntman prior to debuting with that type of entrance, so I could use the harness, and taught me how to use the harness and everything. And Sting and I were the only two doing it at the time, that type of entrance, since the passing of the late Owen Hart, who was the Hart family, meant a lot to me, because one of my trainers, Nelson Royal, he knew the old man Stu Hart, right? And that's how I got enticed, with the Hart family and everything. And I remember asking Brett for permission to go with that entrance, because if he would have told me no, I would have went back to the office and said, no, I can't, there's no way. But he gave me the green light, and I went through with.
Oh, did we lose Stro?
Nope. Wait, here he is.
Yeah, unfortunately,
there we are.
Sorry. Owen had passed, unfortunately, from an accident. From that, so it was just which really hurt us all, right? So,
that was 1999, right, Stro? 99, the Kemper Arena.
Yeah. So for Sting and I to do those type of entrances, that was to me, that was a big. I know Sting was a big deal, but I know it's a big deal for me also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and it's uncanny, because those harnesses, they lock you in with, right, or shut tight. I mean, tight as tight can be. One time, one of my entrances, right, because usually you come down the ring, do the grand entrance, right, and then I get to the ring to wrestle, right. One time the harness wouldn't let go of my my tights, my wrestling attire, right. So I had to come to the ring with that metal harness in the small of my back, right.
Oh,
that's nice.
So every time I move around, bump around, mess around the ring, I felt that harness like compress against my backside, and I was like, oh my god. So you see me gritting my teeth on TV. It was like, oh yeah, that was that was
real.
That darn harness, man. Give me a hard time, but yeah, just one of those things. The show must go on, right?
No matter what, right? Yeah. And
the pain must go on.
Tell us about the time that, and this goes back to being the policeman in the ring, that you had somebody that was uncooperative and they were really in business for themselves, and then you had to be the policeman in the ring and straighten that situation out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. There was this guy who thought he was the Ultimate Warrior one time, and literally thought he was the Ultimate Warrior, and he was giving some of the wrestlers a hard time. So the promoter and one of the referees, they got together and they look my match for myself and him, right, to see if I can straighten him out. And so, but I gave him benefit. I gave everybody benefit of the doubt. In the ring. So So the match starts, and so far he's all right. During the match, and then next thing you know, he yeah, are you there? Can you see me all right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
we still
Okay.
got
Okay, cool. Next thing you know, he starts freaking out in the middle of the match, just acting the fool, right? And I look at the referee and nod my head, and the referee, he pretty much knows what's coming, right? So I just snatched him and gave him a release German suplex, right? Just launched him in the air, right? And he hit the canvas. I knocked him out, right? And then after the match, I sat him up and smacked him across between the shoulder blades, to wake him up, right? And he looked up at the referee. He's like, what happened? What's going on? And referee was like, well, hey, the match is over.
3, you're out.
And you could hear, like, in the locker room, I got in the locker room to, like, a standing ovation from all the crew, right? You know what I mean? It was just, oh my god.
Cool.
So his Ultimate Warrior fantasies went down the drain after that, right?
Yeah. It was like out of the blue, he just started acting, and I saw why they were upset with him, because he evidently did the same thing to the others. So you know what I mean. So I just handled it.
Travis,
Cool story.
what do you say in a situation like that? I mean, a man's got to do what a man's got to do, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, he was okay. It was just one of those things where
But there are stories like that, right, Stro, where there, over and over again, there are people that sort of are consumed by their own airtime and not wanting to cooperate, with their opponent, which really is their partner in the ring. So these things are necessary from time to time, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you don't see it all the time, but every once in a while you have a case where, unfortunately, someone would try to take liberties on somebody else, and which is, no, because we pretty much look out for each other, right? For others' safety and well-being. So
yeah,
but that's where the training comes in.
Yeah.
That we were talking about earlier, just in case, because and there's times where you have to carry someone because someone's hurt or disillusioned in some way. There's all kinds of situations.
You're not putting 100% effort into it, so
right.
Then you got to carry that individual. What about fans coming and attacking and jumping into the ring and things like that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've had some crazy situations. I saved Tommy Rich one night in Nashville from getting stabbed ringside. This crazy fan jumping over the railings, right?
Wow.
In the riot situation. And there was one time in Puerto Rico where I got stabbed by a fan. I'm like brawling with the guy I'm wrestling, and I get stabbed in the shoulder, and he was trying to go stab my opponent, right? So I shoved my opponent out of the way towards the locker room, and I decked that fan. It was coming after me with a knife as hard as I could. And luckily, security got him, and the doctor took care of my shoulder. I got stabbed at, but it's just it's crazy. It's crazy, and there's times I've had to look out for fans too. I remember one time doing I'm diving on top of my opponent. It was up in Cleveland, Ohio, I think, right? And the guy I was wrestling, he was big enough to catch me. Wasn't worried about that. But a fan ran in between us, right? As I'm in the air, and to avoid hitting the fan, I shifted my body a certain way to avoid hitting the fan. Thank God. So, yeah. So I mean, we're looking out for the fans too. Actually, this is we ourselves. You know what I mean?
And Travis, I couldn't hear you when you started talking.
I was muted. I apologize. I had a coughing fit a second ago, so I muted the mic and totally didn't take it off. So no, I was going to say, yeah, you do what you have to do. But one of the things that I was wanting to ask ask Stro, because we've talked about other wrestlers and their acting, and you've got a fairly impressive acting dossier yourself, and I love the fact that you just did a DC theme with Harlequin movie with playing Dr. Arkham. So I guess I have to ask, if you looking at your acting career, if there's one role, you said you've done Shakespeare, you've done religious, you've done all those things. If there's one role you could play, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. That's a good question, actually. There's several roles that I would, I would love to do westerns. You know what I mean? The western movies. Of course, I've been in a few gangster movies. Whether I'm heavy or I'm one of the higher ups in the gang. I've just done various things like for example, with Dr. Arkham in the DC fan film movie I did. I studied Sean Bean's character in The Island with Ethan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. With Sean Bean's character, he was the evil doctor overseeing the clones, kind of like Logan's Run, if you will.
Yes.
That's what the movie kind of reminded me of, a throwback to Logan's Run. And I studied Sean Bean's character because his persona and Dr. Arkham's persona were pretty similar, to where they were the antagonists, both huge antagonists, and which Dr. Arkham's character was responsible for Harlequin going over the edge, along with the Joker's character. So it was the Joker and Dr. Arkham that kind of messed with Dr. Quinzel, turning her into the psychotic Harley Quinn, that sort of thing. Because I was like the manipulative boss, if you will, the antagonizing boss that you can't win with, no matter how nice you are or whatever. It's just he's always going to be a pain in the rear end, more or less. So, which I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
I know.
But Sean Bean was an incredible actor
too.
Oh, absolutely.
Sean Bean's a heck of an actor.
How did you get along with him? So he was a good guy, good actor.
Who's this? I'm sorry.
Sean Bean. Did you have interactions with him, or no, just studying what he was?
Just studying him, and then that character in the film, The Island, because it just screamed my character, right? How my character was supposed to be, Dr. Arkham, right? So it was a perfect fit. So, and I was a big fan of his anyway, from a lot of his other film projects as well. So
I'm just trying to figure out.
I know you're trying. I see everything. I'm just
trying to figure out. I don't know if he would say on this show live on air. It have to be after the show conversation or something. I'm just trying to figure out how much Stro would charge to be featured, or just do a cameo in one of my indie films.
I knew where he was going.
I'd be honored. Oh my gosh, I'd be honored.
Hey, don't worry. Yeah. You'll get paid. You'll get paid. And plus, we registered it on IMDb, so you'll get your IMDb credits. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
So I knew this was coming, Stro. Stroman Entertainment was coming for you.
So where do you live now? Where do you reside now, Stro?
I'm right outside of Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Oh, he's closer to me than he is you, Derek. So you're out of luck. He's closer to me.
But I travel a lot, so what I mean.
That's awesome. So how often do you come to Maryland? I mean, when was the last time you were in Maryland?
Oh gosh, I was a few months ago actually.
Okay.
There was some kind of event I had to go up north and everything. I love going to Maryland because like the DC traffic is always crazy, no matter what time of day or night I'm there. But when I get to outside towards the Maryland, it's like night and day. It's like, oh, thank goodness. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a breath of fresh air. So
it's the worst traffic. It's now voted the worst traffic in America, from the Northern Virginia DC corridor through Baltimore, going into Philadelphia, and it is rated #1, the worst traffic in America.
Wow.
And there's no avoiding it, no matter where you go to. Yeah.
No, you're not avoiding.
There's no avoiding it. Yeah, like you almost have to go through DC in some, areas that you come from, you have to pass through that traffic. There's no avoiding 495, 695, 70. You know, you're going to get caught up in. There's no way around.
One thing about DC, I kind of think about, you know, even travel, you know, I mean, dealing with the traffic and everything. So I kind of think back to the film DC Cab from back in the day.
Yep.
And that kind of makes the travel a little better, thinking about, you know, DC Cab and everything. Have you seen the film? It's like, what a funny film. That is hilarious.
I've never seen that. DC, who starred in that?
I remember it.
Mr. T.
I was going to say,
Mr. T was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. T, Gary Busey.
Oh, Mr. T was in it.
Yeah.
That was back in the 80s.
Grady,
there, okay.
you know, the actor,
movie.
Victor French, the actor that played Grady Wilson, he was in it. Like, it's a whole, like, all-star group of people in it.
Who was, let's see, I can't remember the name of Grady. What was Grady's name? Solomon Wilcox or something like that. Solomon something, or that was Grady Wilson from Sanford and Son.
Oh, Grady.
And,
gray hair guy.
Mike Gale, who was Barney Miller, he was in it. He was the head of the taxi company that was with everybody. Yeah,
I remember him too.
And they had like the Barbarian brothers, the twins, the big muscle guys.
Paul, yeah, wasn't it Peter and Paul? But yeah. I think they're both gone now, aren't they, Stro?
I'm not sure. They might have.
They both passed on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
So Des, I see you. You're like I could see the questions building up with you too. So.
Well, I just wanted to share, if you don't mind, Papa Show, some of the because I went in and some of your intros here.
There you go.
Back in the day. I remember this. Like I loved it. I remember this because, you know, you came in there like.
And he took part of that Gorgeous George character and implemented that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And we have that as well. I mean, like, you come from there's so much, and you've been a part of so much, and with your movie career, and here's Gorgeous George, and here's where
is bound and determined to put his hands
with hands have but there's the cape or the you know, yeah. Love this.
His manager would take the cape off of him and spray him, and then he'd tell the crowd to hush, and the whole crowd would erupt when he told them to hush.
Just loved it. Just love this. Like, all of this. This is just like it gets me excited. And then you know, I really just imagine I have pulled this up for you, Derek. DC Cab.
Yeah, okay. I mean, come on. How did I not remember that?
Oh, it's amazing. What a film.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So that's totally cool that you're there. And then I wanted, if you didn't mind, to share for if anybody's in the North Carolina area. Is this where we would get the tickets, right? Papa Show right here.
Oh yeah. You can you can watch that for free on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
What's on YouTube now?
Yeah, it's on YouTube also, and I got a thing in the fall, a teaser trailer on YouTube now for a new comedy series in the fall called Stro Sinister Cinema.
Ooh. Oh, cool.
Where it shows like
awesome.
different sci-fi movies, all that from back in the day, real cheesy stuff, man. But it was a lot of fun. I have a werewolf sidekick named Wolfgang in the series, and he's hysterical. He's this.
Not to be confused with Wolfie D.
No, yeah, Wolfie D. Yeah. I just saw him actually. He was on the Ric Flair's Last Match show there in Nashville.
Oh wow! How about Jamie Dundee? He wasn't there.
I didn't see Jamie, but I did see Wolfie. I was like, wow.
And we're talking about these guys Wolfie D and Jamie Dundee. They were from Mid-South in Memphis. They originated there. Jamie Dundee had I guess he's still alive. I don't know. His father, Bill Dundee, ran the territory. He was with a guy named Jerry Lawler. They were the guys that were, booking that territory. And Jamie Dundee was Bill Dundee's son, quite a character, and Wolfie D as well. So Stro knows them very well, and they have they've had moments of great fame and then some downfalls as well, like we all do, I guess. But and it leads me to something else, and I don't even know if I want to mention this, Stro. I was upset by it when I saw a shoot interview with our friend Devin Nicholson and a wrestler named Buff Bagwell. And I never met Bagwell before. I know a lot of the guys, but I never met him. But he said some things, and again, maybe he was under the influence. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't know what he does, but I do know this. I didn't like what he said. And he said some very derogatory things about Stro that were uncalled for. And so I don't know if you want to go there, Stro. If you don't want to, we can just go past it. But I hope that maybe he's giving you an apology since that time.
It's weird because someone brought up to my attention about it, and I watched it. There's a thing on YouTube called WSI Interviews where I think the guy's from the UK, but he interviews different people in the wrestling industry. Which I was a fan of the show because he a lot of people they interview, friends of mine, and I saw the Buff interview, and he said what he said, and I was like, I'm scratching my head. Wait a minute, did this really happen? Like, he's talking about the politicking and me working out in the gym with him and all that, and like, dude, I've never worked out in the gym one time. And what are you talking? And then the politicking, like, oh my God, man, that's all I can do to get TV time. When did any of this happen, right? And so it was perplexing, because I thought we were friends, right? And saying all this stuff, and then I get a tweet on Twitter saying, "Oh no, I'm sorry, it was all this and that," all apologetic and everything, and supposedly from his Twitter, right? And I'm like, okay. And then next thing you know, I see him, and he thinks he's Mr. Rogers now, and he's cussing up a storm dressed as Mr. Rogers, and I'm like, what's this? So I've been praying for him, man, because I don't know what he's doing, but something's off somewhere, right? So, but there's never been any heat here, so I wish him all the best. I hope he gets to help, because he's been going through a hard time, and I just hope he gets the help he needs. And so, more power to him.
For you that you take the high road in it, and and we do pray for him, and we do wish him well, and hopefully he can get, like you say, the help that he needs. But I saw that, and Devin Nicholson made me aware of that, or actually maybe I made him aware of it. I don't know. And then he had you on his show to sort of give a rebuttal to it. But it's just amazing, and I don't know. Again, I don't know the guy, but I heard what he said, and I was shocked because he and Stro wrestled together there for WCW, and I'm sure they had regular interactions. And
well, evidently he said things about a lot of the other people in the industry too, as well, and they were pretty, because I was on a podcast with Stevie Ray of Harlem Heat recently, and evidently he said some things about him too, and he wasn't too happy about that. So, but I just hope he can make amends with all these people. He's, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know what his motivation was behind that, but I mean, like I said, there's no heat here with me.
Do you think some of these guys in these shoot interviews, when they're being paid to do these types of interviews, do you think that they kind of take liberties to try and be entertaining or create a controversy just because, it'll get more attention if they do that?
Oh, yeah. The key word there is attention.
Yep.
You know, so, and unfortunately, some people think that way, but you know, but like with the Buff situation, there's never been the heat, and I still don't have any heat with the guy. So I mean,
yeah, it's
more
good
power
that you
to him.
take the high road. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I was befuddled by it, but good for you that at least he sent a message to you apologizing, and now you can move forward from it.
Yeah. So, but sometimes that things like that happen, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people like, and there were some things where, like, say, I'm doing the podcast for you guys right now, and someone take something that I said out of context. And bring it to someone else. Like that happened to Jim Cornette's podcast one time, when someone took what I said out of context, and Jim even had to set it straight to the person that was taken out of context, and so which was I really greatly appreciated that, because I love Jimmy, man. I've had some love working with him, Smoky Mountain Wrestling and everything. It was always a good time. So that matter of fact, Jim told me this funny story of me saving him from a groupie one night that was after him, right? We were after a show, right? And Jimmy never asked me for a ride, never asked me, but he comes to me and asks me, can I get a ride out of here, right? And I said, oh, sure, Jimmy, what's wrong, And he said someone slashed his tires, right? Awesome. And I was like, how did they know that was your car? Yeah, and he looked, right. He pointed on the license plate. It said Louisville Slugger on the license plate. So, it's Jimmy, right? And
very inconspicuous license plate, right?
Right. I said, okay, you can ride me. Let's go. So, yeah. But yeah, funny story, man. Crazy time.
You got a million of those stories. And when Stro and I first met, we met at a convention in Pittsburgh. And we were like instant brothers, because we talked all night long. We talked literally in his room until the sun came up, because we were talking story after story about wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And so he's got a lot of stories, that's for sure. And I want you, Stro, if you will, take a second to just talk about your faith and talk about enduring through tough times.
Oh, man. Well, I'm sure you all have had your share of trials and tribulations. I know God knows I have. I know I was saved, actually, when I was 11 years old. And it's weird, because I would have these weird dreams after I was saved, and I was brought up a Baptist, right? Mm-hmm. But I consider myself now non-denominational.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because I feel that certain things in the Christian community are we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Like, we shouldn't be so divisive, and we should be doing what God wants us to do, rather than have these petty differences that we have. And I think that's what separates us from the enemy, because the enemies, between the Christian community and the enemy community, they're more united, right, in their efforts. And I think we should be even more united, because we're all children of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
So, but that's just my personal opinion about the whole thing.
And think about it, Stro. There are 34,000 different Christian denominations in the world, 1,200 in America alone. So that means there are all these different versions of the truth. So if I say to you, I think this passage reads this way, and you say, no, I don't think so, I think it reads this way. Well, now we have a difference of opinion. And if I start a denomination and you start one, now we have this division, and that's what the enemy wants. And that's right out of his playbook. It's divide and conquer. So he wants people to be divided. He wants, and I've seen this so much throughout the Christian community over the years, and Travis can testify to that I was vilified by the 700 Club many years ago, after they came and spent a day with me and wanted to air my story on their network. But then I was vilified by them after that. So the devil laughs at these things. He very much enjoys that type of division, which creates, when you create that level of friction and confusion, well, now you've created division. And when you've created division like that, nothing good will come from it because it's divide and conquer tactics.
Absolutely. And, we alluded to earlier about, reaping fruit. I mean, that's what God wants us to do. Reach out to as many people as possible and spread his word. And to do that, you can't hide in the corner. You can't stay silent, because being silent you might as well be defeated.
Yeah.
And in warrior mode per se, I mean, you have to get out there, hit the trenches, and like when Jesus was alive, he went out to the people that needed him.
Yeah.
From the lowest to the low. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
And it didn't matter to him what religion you were. You know what I mean?
Right. There was one group that he wasn't fond of, and they were called the Pharisees. And, and they were the types that, thought they were better than everybody else, and thought that they had such a high standing, and people would literally bow down to them and all that kind of stuff on the streets. And Jesus did not like that gang at all. As a matter of fact, he said to them, "You are vipers all, like your father, the devil." That's what he thought about the Pharisees. And unfortunately, there are people out there like that now, that if you do not fit into their version of, then you are an outcast, and now you're a villain. And so it is what it is. We see it all the time. It's very sad and unfortunate. And I wish there was a way that people could come together, because we are all children of God. And if we could somehow really come to him in real and authentic praise and worship, and really renewing the covenant with him and coming back in warrior mode, this world would suddenly change overnight for the better. So the devil knows that, and he uses those divisive tactics to keep people separated.
I'll give you an example too about how the petty things are what's hurting the Christian community right now. I'm doing a signing, right? To raise money for a children organization, and I had some T-shirts out there for sale, and they had like skulls on it with the cross across the forehead, right? And which is kind of like one of my trademarks, not just in wrestling, but marketing wise. And there's a lady who comes up from a church, I guess locally, right? And she's just like just up in arms about this skull. The way that's the work of the devil and all this and that. And so I stopped her. I said, okay, let me ask you something. We're all human, right? We have human skulls, right? Okay. What do you think that cross stands for? And she just got silent. And I said, that cross stands for conquering death through Christ. And she was like, no, wait a minute. I said, look, don't, if you're a true Christian, you would understand what this means. And she just got all upset and walked off. And the other ladies that were running the event that day were really apologetic about it and everything. I said, no, that's right. Quite all right. But I mean, it's the fact that, going back to what you were saying, the fact that, it becomes to a point where it's not about doing what we should be doing for the Lord. And it's just all about doing what we're doing for our own self-satisfaction. And
that's the devil's the author of that. Yeah, he's selfish,
and that's not from God, right? That's not from God.
Right.
You know what that's
all
from.
About him,
right?
Yeah, and Travis is right. The biggest problem in organized religion today is ignorance and intolerance, and we're going to share something. And Stro, I want you to stay with us when we're done with your interview. I want Des to show something that I captured this past Friday morning at 1:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm in my office right now. I heard a sound outside. I got up. I looked at went to the window and looked out, and sure enough, there it is. There was this unidentified flying object out there. Travis could tell you that the reason the 700 Club nixed my interview and didn't air it is because they said my connection with UFOs. And let me tell you something.
Well, I mean, it's that, and you're better looking than Pat Robertson. So I mean,
I don't know. He might disagree on that. But you know, we had a great struggle with them, and they really made it a spectacle, and I guess I did too, because you know, Travis wrote a press release and I made a lot of comments about it. I was upset over it. We were both upset over it. It was uncalled for. So I've been having these types of sightings and experiences all my life. The first time I saw a UFO in 1977 over the house that I lived in, where my family and I had all those demonic problems. But we also had divine experiences as well. And I do believe, and I could back this up with scripture in a minute, that some of these craft are flying chariots that are mentioned in the Bible, divine Merkabah. Yahweh is the creator of everything, including these things. So Psalm 68:17 says the chariots of God are 20,000. So in my opinion, and I've had every type of paranormal, supernatural UFO experience that you can think of. And in some cases, like this right here, I felt that it was divine. But in other cases, I did feel that it was evil, and I felt like my life was in jeopardy. There's no doubt about it. But in this instance here, I felt that it was divine. This object stayed out there for over 5 minutes. And so think about that now. If you're seeing an airplane, you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the plane has already gone across. This object stayed out there for over 5 minutes. I've had many sightings in the year 2022. I mean, Travis can tell you, it goes back years I've had these sightings. I've been on the phone with Travis and said, look, this is what's happening right now. I don't know why this happens, but I'm not afraid. I know that I'm a child of the Most High God. Furthermore, I'm a warrior for the Most High God. And if God is with me and for me, then nothing's going to stand against me. So I have no fear. But in this instance here, I strongly and firmly believe that it is a divine Merkabah chariot of Yahweh. And for those of you that don't understand what I'm saying, look it up. Look up Merkabah and look up the manna. Because when Satan and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven, if you remember, Stro, when we were on that road trip, I was telling you this very thing back then. When the devil and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven, I firmly believe they were cast out in those flying craft. They came down here and took human women, produced a hybrid offspring of giants called the Nephilim. The Nephilim went into the forest and had unnatural sex acts with the beasts of the fields, and that is what your Bigfoot, Sabe, Sasquatch creatures are. They're every bit as much supernatural as they are a flesh and blood type of being. So it all starts from there with the divine chariots of Yahweh. And when the devil and those demons were cast out, the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God, they were cast out of heaven. I do believe that they were cast out in those flying chariots that came down here. So I've had just about every type of UFO encounter you can think of. I've taken over 1,000 photos since 1995. And at one point, I'd shot over 16 hours of video footage. There are times that these things happen to where if I go to the window, for instance, on that night, I have this Kodak camera here, and I usually keep that in the bedroom. I didn't have it here in the office that night. I had this old Quasar palm quarter that's 21 years old, and I grabbed that. It's still got the VHS-C tape in there, and I grabbed that and went to the window and was filming this thing from the window. But there are times that I have had these sightings, and they will not let me document. Either the camera shuts down, or they quickly disappear, whatever it may be. You can tell that whomever it is, there are times that they don't want to be documented, and then times like Friday morning where it stayed out there for me to document. So I don't have the answers on it, except to say that scripturally, men of the Bible have had these types of encounters, and I'll read a few scriptures right now that will back up what I'm saying. One, actually, the first one, and if you think about this, most people don't think about it in this way. When Moses was leading the Israelites to the Promised Land, they had a craft that came over them that gave them shade by day and light by night. And furthermore, they were being fed manna, which is bread, from, I guess, the heavenly hosts that were operating that craft. And those people were being fed and protected by that craft. Okay, so that has to be divine. And then let's see, Exodus 16, verse 10, and it came to pass as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud. So in the Bible, there are 70 scriptures that talk about clouds, pillar of a cloud, flying tabernacles, flying scrolls, flying rolls, divine chariots, all these things, and that is describing these flying vehicles. There is no doubt about it. Exodus 24, verse 18, and Moses went into the midst of the cloud and got up into the mount, and Moses was in the mount for 40 days. What do you think he was in? The UFO was hovering over the mountain, and he went inside for 40 days and 40 nights. Exodus 34:5, and the Lord descended in a cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. Yahweh descends and places himself there. Let's see. The spinning chariots of fire take Elijah. 2 Kings 2, verses 11 and 12. And then it came to pass as they went on and talked, and behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha, who was Elisha was his protege, he saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his clothes and tore them into pieces. So the Yahweh sent the divine chariot to take the prophet Elijah up, and Elijah never returned. So chariots described as clouds. Psalm 104, verse 3, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Yahweh makes thick clouds his vehicles, and travels on the edge of the wind. And lastly, and I could go on and on and on, but I'll stop here. Isaiah 66, verse 5, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and rebuke with flames of fire. So we'll stop there. Again, we could make a whole show out of these scripts one after the other, but they are there. Make no mistake. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, go, or you can even do a Google search, scriptures pertaining to UFOs in the Bible. It's all there. Ezekiel's wheel, what do you think happened there? The chariots of God came down, and Ezekiel had all these experiences and was taken up. And then we have Enoch. Enoch was so favored by God that he was taken up and saw all the levels of heaven, including hell. So again, we could go on and on and on about this topic, but I have been vilified by some people for this, and I say to them, do your research. Travis hit the nail right on the head about ignorance. It's very easy to vilify someone and dismiss them and say, oh, no, they're evil, they're dealing with evil. Think before you speak and do the research and do your studies, and then you'll come to a better understanding of these things. Knowledge is power, and power perceived is power achieved. So there it is. It is what it is. I don't ask for these things, but I've had so many of these types of incidents, encounters throughout my lifetime that I have lost count. So obviously, in part, and I praise God for this, that if in fact they are divine chariots in some cases, which I believe they are, I praise God for that. In other cases, I praise God for protecting me from mortal harm when I've been in those situations to where I felt like my life was in jeopardy. And that goes for the copters as well. I've had all these black helicopters over me for years. That continues also. And look, there's nothing that I can do about it. If one lands out here right now, I will go out there. I have no fear. God is with me and for me, so I don't live in the fear-based, trauma-based way of thinking anymore. I will engage them. I will confront them. How can I do that? By the power of God working through me. So I have to stay in every facet of warrior mode, which is easier said than done. But we have to remain strong in mind, body, and spirit. And that's where true faith comes in knowing that God will protect us and he'll take our part no matter what happens, no matter how dire a situation it is. God will always make a way for us. Even where there isn't a way, he will make a way. So,
okay,
there you go.
Number one, stop talking about black helicopters. The last 2 times you've done that, they have circled me when I was playing in a golf tournament.
Yeah, it's true.
I've never seen them before until you brought them up. Stop bringing it up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And people that are connected to me can tell you that. There's lots of people that when they're connected to me like that, all of a sudden, these things start to come around. It's like a form of surveillance. I don't understand it.
I'm like, yeah. Well, actually, the UFO though. Remember, Brett, I described my UFO. Well, what I thought was a dream, which only God knows of what it was.
You documented it
without. Oh, I documented it, and it was complete. I described it, and it wasn't until you told me about your experience. I was like, oh my God, how could we both have the same experience and knowing of the same type of ship, or whatever, without I never really shared about because who wants to say of hey, UFOs or all this thing, but no, this is real.
very
The
real.
image that you capture is interesting because of the colors too. There's like
Absolutely.
some
You could
blues
see
and
yeah,
whites and
purple,
pink, and purple,
pink. I mean,
different colors.
yeah, absolutely amazing. And there you go. I mean, there's a lot of colors in there.
It's very good.
There are.
Have you had Papa Stro, have you had any UFO experiences?
Oh yeah, I had like a close encounter experience right out of the movie. The scene where Richard Dreyfuss is driving the electrical truck, and he sees what appears to be car lights from a vehicle behind him, and next thing you know, the lights go up and up and over this vehicle. I had an experience like that driving home one day from an event up in the mountains.
Was that in North Carolina, Stro? Where was that?
That was up in West Virginia, I think.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense, doesn't it, Travis?
For me, it does, yeah.
And it was right out of the movie. Seriously, it was just right out of the scene. And I'm looking up, and the lights are like hovering above me, and then they go straight up in the sky. And, like, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so, for some people, it's very difficult for them to understand and believe it, especially people who have never had the experience. And look, if they go through life and never have an experience like that, well, then I guess God didn't want them to have that experience. But there are many other people that have had these types of experiences. And I find it maddening with some people that they will just dismiss without even giving any thought or investigation into anything. They'll just dismiss it. Oh, that person's crazy. They're a crazy person. And then that's it. And it's very sad and unfortunate because if you have that type of dismissive behavior, well, then I guess you're kind of only interested in yourself and your little box, and pretty much that's it. So it is what it is. Life is stranger than fiction. That's why I wrote 2 books about that. And it's a connecting of the dots.
There's a battle going on right now that we don't even see. That's all around us. There's like good and evil fighting for us all around us, and we don't even see it or know it's there, but it's there. It's so there.
I'm currently writing my 10th book, and it is talking about those very things. And spiritual battle, we're all in spiritual warfare on a daily basis. Most people don't realize it, but we are. It's the same thing, and we've had these discussions before, that if it is true that man can only use a small percentage of brain power, it used to be 10%, that the average person only uses 10% of their brain. If that is true, then that means there is 90% of a world going on around us that we can't see, hear, feel, touch, or smell. Now think about that. I mean, and so if a person's brain, if God suddenly unlocked their brain to say go to 30 or 40 or even 50% of capacity, could you imagine what we would see around us? It would probably drive people insane.
It's like the DNA, the DNA structure that we have. There's a certain line in our DNA, and if it's like Bill said, if we didn't have that certain line in our DNA, that would like open the doors to all kinds of things that we're capable of doing.
And Yahweh's name is on that DNA, and we praise him for it. And that's a whole other topic in discussion, but it's true. His name is on the DNA through numbers, and those numbers come out to Yahweh. We used to have that every week on the show, and we started the show. There's a video clip there by Pastor Carl Gallups that put that together. I believe it's 10565, the numbers that are in the DNA strands that hook the DNA strands together, and in Hebrew that comes out to Yahweh. So it's absolutely amazing how all these things work. God knows what he's doing, and so he is in control and has a final say over these things, just like these times that we're enduring right now in America and the world. These are perilous times. Make no mistake about it, but we must endure, and we have to keep moving forward no matter what. So we just pray that God will work through us to be a blessing to people each and every day, and maybe plant good seeds to where things can start to make a positive change. So
it's Ephesians 12 and 13. It's happening.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely right. And there's nothing we can do about it except look in the mirror and try and do the best that we can do and be the best that we can be on a daily basis. That's the only thing that we can do. And the most important thing, obviously, is keeping our faith and keeping God first. But individually, each person needs to take responsibility. We all need to take responsibility for our actions, and we need to really make an effort to do the best and be the best that we can be on a daily basis, because life is a gift. We are not promised tomorrow. Life is very fragile, and life is very short when we look at the bigger picture. So that's my little soapbox rant for now. So Derek, you're waiting to chime in. I see you there. I know you're waiting.
I just agree with her. I agree with everything that you're saying. I mean, I say that all the time to people about what life is, and none of it's guaranteed. You know, but I just think people get it like it's supposed to happen. I have this conversation almost every day with people, and I think they're tired of me saying it because they act like you're supposed to wake up every morning, and you can plan months and months in advance every day, and like this is you're guaranteed that time to happen. And I say it all the time, that's why I move so fast. That's why when I say I'm going to do something, I really just try to get it done, because if not, it's just not promised.
There might not be tomorrow.
It might not be tomorrow, but it's not a doom and gloom way of thinking. It's just the reality of it all,
Correct. And in writing my new book now, for instance, starting the book off, I got to let people know where I've been and what I've been through and all those kinds of things. And it made me very sad, when I got to the part about talking about my parents. Neither of them lived to see the age of 50. And, my mother died of a cerebral hemorrhage at the age of 44. My father was shot to death at the age of 48. And so again, I've had many other family tragedies as well, where people died very young in life. And you look at that, you just say, wow, it certainly makes me appreciate my life. And I thank God and praise God for every day of my life. So the first thing I do when I open my eyes, I thank him and praise him for the day. And I will do that for the rest of my life. I'll never take my life for granted. I'm very thankful to God for my life and for the blessings that he's brought into my life and continues to bring into my life. So I would never, ever take my life for granted.
Same here, man. Same
here.
I
mean, it's just, it's easy to get caught up in things. It's easy to become very busy in life and just kind of go with that, and then kind of disappear from God in the sense that you're really not showing any appreciation for your life. You're just going with it, and you're just, and look, it's great to have drive and determination, and that certainly leads to success. But for me, I couldn't do anything without the power of God working through me, without his blessing, without his favor. I couldn't do it. And if I said otherwise, I'd be a liar. And so that's just who I am. I can't be any other way, and I don't want to be any other way. So Stro, what would your ultimate message be to your friends and your fans and everybody that, what is the message that would be the strongest message that you could give to them?
Well, take care of yourself. Be the best you can be, and don't feel down when things are tough, and then don't blame yourself, because a lot of times it's not you. It's not you. We've talked about it earlier about things that happen in our lives that obstacles that get in our way, this sort of thing. We're tested every day, right?
Yeah.
So it's how we deal with those tests is what makes us stronger. How we get to it. Like if storms come to your life, don't run away from the storms. Face them, stand up to them, and go through them. And because the more storms you go through, the stronger you'll be. And you letting the world know you're not a person to mess with. You're indeed, quote unquote, a warrior.
Yeah, love that.
And God wants you to stand up to the evil in the world that's bringing you down and others down, because it's showing them that you're with him, and like it says in the Bible, if the Lord's with you, who could be against you?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Love that. That's a great message, Stro. And we could roll all night long. We're almost 2.5 hours into this show, and we probably just scratched the surface. I want to have you back again. I know you're busy. I know your schedule is busy, but I'd like to set a date with you again to return, brother, because it's always great having you with us, and we enjoy it every time. And I see a message from Chester Holland. Hi, Chester. And Caleb, if you are in here, he's telling me that Caleb Weaver is in here. And Caleb was one of my clients that is doing very well now, praise God. But he was under demonic possession, and God worked through me to free him. And Caleb, if you want to be a part of my new book that I'm working on, I would like to feature your case in the book. I will send you a message and we'll talk about it. But Caleb is a great success story and his story was featured on the Haunting series. That episode, I think, was called The Curse of the Mummy, and it won a Bronze Telly Award. It was one of the best episodes in the history of that series. And so Caleb, well, I'll never forget it. And I had a vision. God showed me a vision before I went to perform that exorcism over him. God showed me that he was going to try and stab me. And so we actually put his hands in handcuffs, and he was cuffed. His hands were behind his back in a chair. And when I put my holy mixture on his forehead, some dripped down and he spit it right in my face. And I will never forget the end result of that exorcism and what came out of him and what we saw come out of him. But I'm so thankful that Caleb is doing well now. I haven't spoken with him for a little while, but I'm sure he's still doing well. And God bless you and your family, Caleb. And get in touch with me, and we'll talk about getting your account, your story in the book. So I'll never forget it. And when people are under demonic possession, in most cases, they don't remember anything. It is as if the entity or entities have come in and unplugged their mind and literally plugged in. And so now they have a host body that they are controlling. And that was the case with Caleb. And that was a very, very dangerous situation. And I praise God again for working through me to have helped him, because he had prior incidents with others that were trying to help him that got physical, and he threw them around. And it's amazing that those people weren't seriously injured. So that does happen in some of these demonic possessions, to where when those demons are plugged in, now that person has superhuman strength, because it is not theirs. It is this supernatural power that is taking over the host body. So we could talk all night long about that as well. But again, Caleb, I'm very happy that you're here, and get in touch with him. So guys, final thoughts or questions for Stro?
I just wanted to say real quick. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Desiree. I just wanted to say, you remember, I'm telling you, if you do this and gets back to this, right, what I'm about to say, it will become popular. It will become popular again, but you need the right spokesperson, like this guy was. And remember, step into a Slim Jim. Now let me stop.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I miss him, man. He was great.
You remember those commercials, though? Weren't they so good?
Yeah, I met the guy. He introduced me to the Slim Jim guy who made all his outfits, and he had a whole closet full of like a whole ensemble of different like Macho Man outfits that Slim Jim made for him. It was amazing.
Yeah. Now,
see
Travis,
that? I mean, like,
where do you go from there? Yeah, I mean, and Stro, before you go, now I'm going to let Travis and Des ask you another question. And then before you go, I want something from you. So go ahead, Des.
Oh.
Okay. Des, it's on you.
Oh, on me. I always just like to ask, or what's your favorite prayer?
Oh God!
Like before you went to, before you went into the ring, or was there a prayer, or did you have like something that you did, and being raised Baptist and all that, what resonated through you and your life stuff? Is there?
Well, alongside John 16, which will always hold dear to my heart, I usually say the Lord's Prayer, which I used to say it back years ago, back when I was the wrestling thing. We used to get together to say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is heaven. Forgive us this day daily bread. Forgive us trespasses against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. By his kingdom, glory forever and ever. Amen.
Love it.
So,
Hallelujah.
So yeah.
Oh. I love it.
Travis,
Thank you.
where do you go from there?
Well, I think we go to another episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
We delve further.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, Bob Stro, it's an honor to share a program with you. And I love the fact that, after I think the very first show that you did, you accepted my Facebook friend request, my Instagram friend request, I think Twitter. It's like you and I are connected on all these levels. We're connected on a couple other levels too. I grew up Baptist. I also was saved around the age. I actually was saved around the age of 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I found God. Ups and downs, things like. I want to say one thing, and I'm going to take the glasses off when I say it, because I appreciate the fact that you took a stand against ignorance at that particular individual for your brand, first of all, and educating her a little bit. That's one of the problems that I have with, especially organized religion in the South. We're very, very, very set in our ways. And I appreciate the stand that you took for yourself, and then for opening her mind up so that she could actually think a little bit more and ask some questions. Bill knows, Derek and Des know, and I don't know if you know, I was a minister for a while, and one of my biggest things was to always tell people, don't take what I'm saying at face value. Read it for yourself. Get in there, find the answers, find the truth for yourself. Don't take what I'm saying just because I'm in a suit and I'm standing behind a pulpit and I am talking to you on Sunday morning. Don't take what I'm saying as fact. Look for yourself. Find the truth for yourself. You found it for yourself. You challenged her to find it for herself. And brother, good on you.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you so much. It's just like we're learning as Christians. I mean, if it's just like in the wrestling. I remember Art Anderson telling me years ago, it's like, if you think you know everything is about the business, it's time to hang up the boots and do a new career. I mean, we want to be constantly learning about life. And a Christian, you should constantly be learning about better ways to serve the Lord and understand what the Lord wants you to do, because we all have our own personal relationship with God, right? And God talks to us in different ways, and in order to do that, we have to keep an open mind to what the Lord wants us to do. So, I mean, you always want to learn, be a constant student of life, as well as being a student of the Lord.
Absolutely. And Travis, you opened up the door now. I spoke about this last night. I guess I'll speak on it again because you opened this door up.
I did not open the door. I merely made a statement. I did not.
Okay. This pastor, and I can't think of his name, nor do I even want to know his name, but there's a story out there. I spoke about it last night. So what you're saying, Travis, is absolutely true in a lot of today's churches. And I'm sorry to say this, it pains me to say, but it's true. What happens is when the people, and it is just like wrestling. So when people get into a lot of these churches, especially the mega churches, they are so emotionally invested in the pastor that the focus and worship is gone from God, and they are worshiping the pastor. And so in this recent story that I saw, this pastor demeaned his congregation, and I mean, he let them have it. He was pretty much the point to where he was going to call them curse words. I mean, he was letting them have it. And the reason he was letting them have it is because they were not honoring him. He wanted to be honored with an expensive watch. He wanted them all to pitch in and give him an expensive watch, and they were not honoring him by not doing that. So where do you think his mindset is?
I saw that.
Wow.
And it is a sad state of affairs. And it is so, and what should have happened there is every single person in that church should have gotten up at the same time and headed for the exit.
They should have, but we're taught to respect the position, that position, and that's ingrained within us. And and there's a fine line. I said I was a pastor of a very small church when I was pastoring. I was making $1,000 a month. $250 a week was my salary. There's a fine line between respecting and compensating someone for what they do, because I was a pastor, I was a counselor, I was a hospice chaplain, I was dealing with people when they were dying, I was doing all of those things come in. That's like 5 or 6 different positions that demand a salary, but you don't worship the man. That's where you get the Jim Jones, you get the
Benny Hinn's, the Kenneth Copeland's, the Creflo Dollars.
That's where we get into trouble. And that's not what Christ ever intended. He intended a relationship. He never intended there to be what this institutionalized version of religion. He wanted people to have a relationship with our Heavenly Father. He wanted, like Stro said, that personal. We all have a personal relationship. We have a personal story. We all come from different directions, and God finds us in different places, and we find God in different places, and we don't often focus on that. I mean, I guarantee, I'm looking at the screen right now, there are 5 of us. I guarantee that not all 5 of us found God in the same place.
Right.
I bet God didn't find us in the same place.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And these are the things that people should examine in their day-to-day and really come to a new understanding. And when I say knowledge is power, it's absolutely true. And Jesus said the truth will set you free. So if you're seeking knowledge, then you're gaining power, because if you're seeking knowledge, you obviously, your mindset and your focus is to seek truth. So if you're seeking truth, then Jesus said the truth will set you free. So there you go. It is what it is. And we pray for people. We pray that, and like you said, Travis, I've said 1,000,000 times, don't take my word for anything. Go do the research for yourself. Take it to God, number one. Ask him to reveal it to you, and he will lead you in the direction where you need to go, and find this information out for yourself. I don't ever want somebody to blindly follow me. Go verify the information, and you'll see it for yourself. So, boy, we could go on and on and on. And Stro, I hope you'll come back soon with us for a part 2.
Oh, I'd love to.
Fantastic. I really appreciate it, brother. Now, I said I wanted something from you.
Okay.
I would give you anything, but I want something, and I don't want something greater than what I would give. That's the devil. That's how he operates. But I want your Dusty Rhodes impersonation, and they'll all know what you're doing when you do it.
Okay. All right, here we go. Baby, this is the American dream, this the road. I've been through hard times. I've been in the gutters of the gutters. I've eaten pork and beans. I've wined and dined with kings and queens. But baby, brother, I'm bad, and they know I'm bad. I'm just like John Wayne, baby. I'm as bad as they come, and I'm living out the American dream. TCB, taking care of business toward it. That's the road style. Drop you like a bad habit with a bionic elbow. Rip your neck off and dance down your tonsils and put in your figure 4, baby. That's what it's all about. Being the American dream. Live for it. Breathe it. Live it each and every day, baby. The American dream coming at you live in color, if you will. Public.
Oh, yeah, that was
Let
good.
go without that. He's got it down. He's got it spot on. And thank you, brother. And don't leave us yet. I want to say a final prayer. We're not doing the prayer list tonight, and that's why I do the service on Friday nights, to separate it from the Warrior Mode shows so we don't go too far, because we know that we're, once we get rolling, we're in here for a while. So that's why I'm doing the prayer list on Friday nights now. But I do want to say one final prayer for everybody on that list. And if you're out there and you're in need of prayer, don't hesitate to contact me, and we will add you to the list and keep you on the list until you don't want to be on the list anymore. So right now, I want you guys and everybody out there that's watching now, join with me in prayer. And we pray for anybody and everybody that is in need of something, whether it's healing miracles, whether they're having financial problems, relationship problems, whatever it may be. we pray for you, and we ask God to bless you with the miracle in whatever it is that you may be needing. And we also pray for America. We pray for God to bring perfect order back to America and the world as well. We pray for everybody. And Father, we thank you and praise you again for this blessed and appointed time and this wonderful show tonight, and the great fellowship and dialogue that we have had. And again, I ask that you bless every single person that is involved in this right now with an abundance of love, peace, joy, good health, and prosperity.
Yes,
we thank you and praise you for everything forevermore in Jesus' name. So
thank you.
again,
Hallelujah.
love and God bless all of you guys. Brother Stro, I'll be in touch. We'll get you the return date. We want the return match. So it'll never be a blow off. We don't want the blow off match. We want the return match, and for you to keep coming back. And I'm sure everybody out there has enjoyed you being on with us tonight. So
Loved it.
guys,
thank you all so much. It's been a blessing.
yeah, no, our pleasure, our honor and pleasure, and love you, brother, and love everybody here, and God bless all of you. And we want you to have a great Sunday. It is now Sunday morning here on the East Coast. We want you to have a great Sunday, and we want you to have a great week. And may you be blessed, and may you be a blessing to others and a shining example of God's love, mercy, and goodness. So I guess that'll do it for tonight. I want to thank all of you for sticking with us and being a part of this ministry and being a part of these shows. And I'm really hoping that somehow God will help Travis to be able to manage things to where he's not away from us for too long, because I really enjoy everybody being together. So with that,
Thank you.
love and God bless all of you. Good night. Have a good Sunday. I'm Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior, and this is the Dream Team here. And we love all of you, and God bless. And we will see you back here again next Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So Des, if you'll take us out with some music, I guess that'll do it.
I'd love to.
See you guys. See you, Stro.
Feel good, I feel great. I'm living proof that it's not too late. Not too late to do what you need to do. To be a better you. To be a better you. It's not too late to change your life. It's not too late to change your mind. Every day is a brand new day, and every day is a brand new day for you to do what you need to do, to be a better you, to be a better you. You gotta walk that walk and talk that talk, toe the line, do the time, and I know, yeah, I know you're gonna be just fine. If you get knocked down after you stand tall, just dust yourself off. It's no trouble at all. 'Cause superheroes always get back up when they fall. And they walk that walk and talk that talk. They toe the line, no, they don't stop. They keep on going, and no matter how hard it is, they do. They do what they need to do. Here's my truth, here's my story. On my road to pain and glory. I know that demons wanna keep us down. They tell us lies that we're not good enough. They put thoughts in our minds that we should just give up. But I just put my gut suit on, and I look up and I shine. Shine, shine, guitar. Shine.
Who is moving on the waters? Who is holding up the moon? Who is peeling back the darkness with the burning light of noon? Who is standing on the mountains? Who is on the earth below? Who is bigger than the heavens and the lover of my soul? Creator God, He is Yahweh. The great I am, He is Yahweh. The Lord of all, He is Yahweh. Rose of Sharon, He is Yahweh. Righteous Son, He is Yahweh. The three-in-one, He is Yahweh. Who is He that makes me happy? Who is He that gives me peace? Who is He that brings me comfort and turns the bitter into sweet? Who is stirring up my passion? Who is rising up in me? Who is filling up my hunger with everything I need? Creator God, He is Yahweh. The great I am, He is Yahweh. The Lord of all, He is Yahweh. Of Sharon, He is Yahweh. The righteous Son, He is Yahweh. The three-in-one, He is Yahweh. You are holy and eternal, and forever you will reign. Every knee will bow before you, every tongue will confess your name. All the angels give you glory as they stand before your throne. While here on earth we gather to declare your name alone, alone. Sharon, He is Yahweh. The righteous Son, He is Yahweh. The three-in-one, He is Yahweh. Oh Lord, you are Creator God, He is Yahweh. The great I am, He is Yahweh. The Lord of all, He is Yahweh. Rose of Sharon, He is Yahweh. The righteous Son, He is Yahweh. The three-in-one, He is Yahweh.
Yahweh.
I enter through the blood of the Lamb. I enter to worship you only. I enter to honor I am. Lord, I worship you. I worship you. Lord, I worship you. I worship you, for your name is holy, holy, Lord. For your name is holy, holy, Lord. I enter the holy of holies. I enter through the blood of the Lamb. I enter to worship you only. I enter to honor I am. Lord, I worship you. I worship you. Lord, I worship you. I worship you, for your name is holy, holy, Lord. For your name is holy, holy, Lord. For your name is holy, 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 Lord. For your name is holy, Let the truth of your kingdom reign in us. Let the weight of glory, let the weight of your glory fall. Let the weight of your glory fall.